Yeah, so this is where we used to come every Sunday. I remember Dad used to bring us here. And yeah, just hanging out, growing up, checking out the place. You know, when I was back in the day when I was playing in bands before and all, I used to generally be the driver of the band. Dropping everyone and the girlfriends home. And by the time we went home, it was like, I don't know, 5:30 in the morning. Sometimes we would have breakfast and go home. One time I had about 15 guys in the car. And I was driving outside the car. I had that car door open and I was halfway out of the car when I was driving. It's good fun in the middle of the night and someone's speaking at the back because you overdrunk or had too much of ice cream.
Sometimes with it just sounds. I mean, there's sometimes bad sounds. To my mind, they are not music really. I mean, it could be a music could be a music could be this. This is very disturbing, bad sound, but still this is music because this is expressing a part of life. You are not always having sweet things in life, nice things about life. You are sometimes angry, you are thrown onto the floor, ground, and people kick you, and you don't hear beautiful things like that. Then you feel angry and frustrated. So that's the sound, and that is music.
Doing the same stuff, no?
Yeah.
Leo, your doesn't see it. Oh, she's stopped.
Stop.
Huh?
Stop.
Are you using the head? She wants to do what she wanted to say.
Am I ready?
I'm already.
Yeah.
1,
2, 1, 2, 3. I saw him the first time in, I think it was 1977. But I didn't meet him on that occasion. We just met at a, didn't meet rather, I mean I saw him at a music competition. And I met him for the first time in 1983. That's 30 years ago. We had a band, and our lead guitar player was leaving for Australia. And a friend of ours, of Amit's and ours, a very, very good friend, he told Gyan and me, he said, there's this very young guy, but he's really something else. So why don't I bring him over and you guys can, listen to him. And then he brought him over one day, and the rest is history. We knew when we heard him the very first time that this was something very special.
It's impossible for me to separate him from my parents. Amit also, without saying anything or talking about it, embodies the fact that if you're an artist, your life and your work are pretty closely bound together without it being a big deal or a grand statement or anything.
Yeah, so music for me is like watching life closely and drawing out information from life, all the finer points of life. You have to be less in your part, but actually you're adding more to the music.
It's very easy for your art and your life to be very tightly integrated if you're successful, especially commercially. Then it's easy. But if you're not very commercially successful, and if you play bizarre music in Calcutta, you're not going to be commercially successful, then it becomes a big deal for you to be completely committed to what you do. Because then there's no external incentive, then it's just about what you do. And Amit kind of sums that up he embodies that principle. Because no matter what his external conditions have been, and they haven't necessarily always been good, he's not once lost a sense of enjoyment of music or dedication to his craft.
Looking beyond the normal, everyday things, It's like chords, you play a beautiful chord, and soon after that, you play a huge, ugly, dirty chord. You have to work. You have to work 24 hours a day. I mean, in the sense, I remember not so much now. If I was awake, I was playing. Now, if I'm awake, I'm thinking. You're in pursuit of finding yourself, which is maybe not even there.
I first met Amit in 1988 when he was, in fact, we were performing at the same bill at the OAT in Calcutta. I'd come with my band from Bombay and he was performing in Louis Banks. And I'd heard so much about Amit, that he's such a lovely player and more than anything, such a nice guy. And when I met him, he was exactly that. He was a superb guitar player and a lovely guy. And we've been friends now for many years, and we've kind of gone through life to not together, but separately. But as musicians, we've always been in touch, and it's superb to see what he does. In fact, I just heard him playing last night, and he just completely blew me away with his playing, as he always does.
In school, sitting in my classroom, I would wait to go home. I used to dream of my guitar, Couldn't wait to go and pick up my guitar. Yeah. Play or even to be able to touch it and caress it was like a great feeling for me. And I would go home very often. I would start rehearsal and after maybe my lunch. And if I didn't, I remember my mom saying, "How come you're not playing?" And she would kind of urge me to practice and stuff like that. Even though she really grew up with Indian music, she never really heard Western music or rock music or whatever. But she was so cool and hip in the real sense. My mom, I remember if I didn't rehearse, she would tell me like, how come you're not rehearsing? You should rehearse. Because she felt what it is and how great music as a subject is. And to spend life with that is divine. That time we never flew so much. We used to travel by train a lot, especially in a band called Shiva those days, a rock band. And we would travel a lot. That's the band that I learned a lot from. So you prepare yourself for all these little romantic dreams that you have seen, but maybe the dream never happens, or maybe what you prepared for, the point never takes place.
And believe me, there's so much excitement and thrill and satisfaction when you learn something new. Maybe it's just one note like that. It's immensely satisfying. That is it. And then that's the price of life that you get. You chase all your life to get just one note.
silence makes you do that, and then you can work out what you have to do, what you shouldn't do, and it gives you a higher level of thoughtfulness, and that gives you freedom in your thought. And you, no matter, when you play, there is silence in every piece of music that you play. What happens is music, when you play music, you only seem to be listening to the sound, but actually what happens is there are millions of pockets of silence in between every note that you hear. Just the fact that these are beautiful feelings inside you are the little gifts that I got, from music. And thank you, music, for that. And it's tough. But right now we are sitting on a boat on a river, and that's the flow of my life, like the river. And when I started out, I thought it's just an instrument made out of wood. But it's not true. Later, I realized as I went along, just like this river flow, and I went the flow of my life, and I went through, and I found out it's just not the instrument, it's you, your life, your vibrations, what's happening around you, people, and that became my instrument, you know what I mean? And that expression got mixed in the art form of music, and that became music for me.
I feel like Amit is no longer just a guitar player. Even though he started out as a guitar player, and a guitar player is what he's known as, I think in the last few years he seems to be chasing sound and atmosphere more than doing guitar stuff per se.
Like I've got a gig tonight at 9 and I know when I'm going to play and something comes out and you feel good, but most of the time you're chasing to get that fine thing.
So we're here to share that part of our lives which we don't usually get to share. Lines which are not words. Ladies and gentlemen, for Amit and his guitar.
I think Amit Datta's work as an educator is something that really needs to be acknowledged, and really needs to be acknowledged in a very large scale. I mean, his students and the people who know him are always acknowledging him, the love he gets and all that. It's very evident to see. But I think this is bigger than that. This is something which the entire country needs to know about. Exactly what scale of work is happening there, because this is a little more than teaching people guitar. This is a man who's actually helping people get their lives together.
was not there, I probably wouldn't have found any purpose in life.
It's really, really, really rare to see a human being like Amit Datta.
If I could call anybody my guru, that would be my father to start with. And after that, if there's anybody, there's Amit Datta.
Classes used to be so much fun, man. So much fun. I mean, Sundays and Wednesdays from 11 to about... Official timings was from 11 to 2, but unofficially it would go on till about 4 or 5 in the evening. And sometimes there would be about 20 people in the class, sometimes there would be 10 people, sometimes there would be about 50 people in the class. And it was always a carnival, you know. And no one would feel hungry or wanting to go back home. Just sit there, hear him play, hear him talk about life.
I have spent 27 years playing guitar, you know, and I know what it is and how hard it is. Even that kind of thing, straight direct link with the music. And if you didn't know what a low note is, you won't know what a high note is. So that kind of contrast, and I really go by this theory, you know, looking at life and it's almost like a direct connection to my guitar, to my music.
So much so that, you know, even in between songs or sound check, suddenly when someone else is discussing, someone will say, have you check out this inversion of that chord, you know? Like, you know, I mean, it happens like all the time, in between, like for a split second, and then someone counts and he says, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and go to the song, you know? So it's like that. It's like he says, like it's all the time there, you know, like thinking and trying to grow, and I guess that's what we all do.
Really, that's what it's about, man. It's like, you know, that's where the passion really is.
I'm not mad to carry on doing this in spite of all the odds against me, to carry on doing this for 40 years, you know. And I've studied this, and I've this art form, whether it's coming from India or outside, it's coming from this world. It's that, so when you play something which sounds like a little bit Indian, and the next moment it's maybe jazz or rock, and then when you recognize it, it sounds like one entity, that third form of music. That should be society, you know. That should be that one world society. It doesn't matter whether you're playing Indian music, you're playing sitar or guitar or singing, anything, and it should be valid music.